Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. If you're starting a home improvement project that you want to do yourself, start the project with a trip to A.G. Hines Company. For more than a century, they have out-delivered the big box national chains, building materials, tools, and expertise. You get them all when you check in with Gordon Hines and his family at A.G. Hines Company. 4 generations, 100 years. That's solid. A.G. Hines Company, aghines.com. All right, let's welcome in the next 2 members of our panel right here who we should have called each other. No purple, can't mesh up. Vince Ferrara back with us from 99.1 The Sports Animal. And right down there we have longtime sports writer, longtime member of this panel in his blue jacket, yes, Chuck Cavaleris. Thanks for joining us, Chuck. Okay, let's start by talking a little bit about the offense. I just want to cover some of the basic points, positions, where there's some buzz. And let's start with the offensive line.
Coach, 2 things. One, at left tackle, how are Mincy and Crawford and Davis doing?
Man, they're all doing well, competing. You know, it was the first day of pads yesterday. I thought they all, including those 3, kind of melted a little bit just with the heat. And came back today and we're flying around, doing well, man. To say who's where or what, I couldn't do that for you if that's where that sucker's heading. But they're competing really, really well.
And is there much difference in your left tackle and your right tackle in your scheme?
Not really. And, you know, just because of how we protect and the tempo piece of it, not a huge difference at all.
Kind of interesting there. We've got a graphic here to show you who's actually in the left tackle battle. We talked about last week what's going on at right tackle. Darnell Wright has moved to right tackle, so now you've shifted the question mark over to left tackle, where you've got a JUCO transfer who was here last year, didn't start. Dane Davis, a former walk-on who has 3 starts under his belt last year on the right side. And Gerald Mincy, who transferred in from Florida, who did not have any starts last year. Jimmy, though, the interesting thing, you were the one asking Glenn Ellerbe that question. You also spoke to Alex Golesh, the offensive coordinator, and you got kind of different answers on a couple of these questions than what you got from Mr. Ellerbe. Explain.
Well, yeah, Darnell Wright was one of them. The coaches mentioned that Darnell Wright was moved to right tackle because they feel like that's his more natural position. And Golesh said, we're going to leave him there. We don't want to start taking the left tackles and moving them around. We want to leave Darnell Wright there. Glenn Ellerbe said he was open to Darnell Wright moving back to left tackle if necessary. We'll see. Right. But you've got the tackles that you're looking at. One's a former walk-on, one's a transfer from Florida, and one's a JUCO transfer that played limited last year. So they've got to figure out what they want to do at that position. I do agree with him that the left tackle spot's not like it is in the NFL where it's the blind side. I think Tennessee running this up-tempo, as fast as they are, as quick as Hooker gets rid of the football, it's not quite as important. Otherwise, why would you move Darnell Wright to right tackle? And so anyway, I thought it was interesting to see which way they're going to go. You did have one coach say that he thought that the left tackle was more important in their scheme, and one saying, it doesn't make any difference.
It's interesting that you have a disconnect there.
Yeah, a little difference of thought there, but you know, we'll see going forward. But they need to be able to identify another start on that offensive line at left tackle, because if they don't, you got 4 starters back. You need to solidify that one spot.
One thing that's interesting is Alex Golesh said that, well, Dane Davis will get some runs with the ones too, when he was talking about how he's going to distribute those reps. And then he also referenced those 2 guys working at left tackle and then trying to find a backup right tackle as well. So does that mean that they've already kind of penciled in Dane Davis as the swing guy?
Right.
If they need him, I think he would be great in that position because he has the most position versatility. Yeah. But I wonder, to me, it seems like it's a Crawford Mincy with Davis being kind of the swing guy.
Let's talk about the running back, another position. Chuck, last week we took a look at it. We get a graphic here. Last week I mentioned that one of my areas that I was concerned about was running back, and especially depth, and it turns out just moments after our show ended, they announced that Whitehead was done for the year. So this is what you've got. They had the transfer in of Lynn J. Dixon from Clemson via West Virginia with a brief stop over there. You got 2 freshmen down there at the bottom. You don't have a lot of experienced guys with carries from last year. And if you look at the bottom, Hendon Hooker had 167 carries in this offense last year. That left 410 carries for everybody else. If he gets a little more or about the same, you're looking at about 400 carries that you got to divide among those 5 guys on that list. Chuck, do you feel confident that they have what they need at the running back spot in terms of special, in terms of short yardage, in terms of depth?
No. and I'll tell you why. I mean, that was an issue last year, wasn't it? I mean, this is a run-first offense. we look at it as like a passing offense, wide
Yeah.
open, air raid and all this. Well, you're trying to run the ball. A lot of times you're trying to run between the tackles, right? So that was a question mark last year. I thought it was a huge addition just to have somebody else that's got, big time football carries that you can at least have back there in the mix. But no, I mean, this offense, you're going to have some injuries along the way. You've got to have depth at running back. And I don't think you have enough, and I don't think you have the big back. This offense, to me, really needs short yardage.
Yeah, I still
situation.
wonder about your 3rd and 1 situations. Who's going to be out there at the goal line, that kind of stuff.
I remember asking Alex Golish about that earlier, about 3rd and 1. Do you need a big back? He said, "Is Eddie George available?" Yeah, no, he's not. But it would help to have somebody like that.
Well, I think they're okay as long as they don't have the injuries that you kind of expect, like you talked
Right.
about. Jabari Small can get a lot more of the carries than he did last year because remember he was banged up a lot. That opened up carries for
Unless he's
Jalen
banged up a lot, unless that's his DNA.
Well, but one thing
true.
Jabari Small they are saying is about like what 10 pounds. He's added 10
Yeah.
pounds. He's gotten a little, which you need that.
Right.
I thought he was a solid back last year. I thought he was a good back. I thought Tyon Evans was a tad more special.
I did too.
He had a little bit more missability. If we could make guys miss a little bit more than Jabari Small.
I think he missed
I'm
some
just-
team meetings.
Well, yeah, he missed some. That's right. There was some missability.
There's some missability.
Dylan Sampson isn't as big as Tyon Evans, but he's got some of that missability.
Yeah, there you go.
But he's gotten some second team work. I think he's pretty special the way everybody's talked about it.
Elusiveness is another word here, looking at the thesaurus.
Hey, Tom, are you in Louisville yet, buddy?
For those of you wanting to host a television show, you got to be quick on your feet. All right. We're not going to talk about the passing game because, quite frankly, it's all positive. All you're hearing over there is there aren't a lot of passes hitting the ground.
Yeah.
Everything's positive. So that's the one area of the team that you got to feel pretty good about right now. We don't know what the lineup behind Tillman's going to be, who's going to get the second most tosses, who's going to get the third most, but you feel pretty confident about where they're going, especially when you look at Heupel's history. I think he'll have the passing game worked out. When we come back, let's talk about depth on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to bring out Josh Ward, Marlon Walls, David Oven back with us. Come on back on the Sports Source.